Welcome in, boys. The last show of 2024. A year in the books with my great friends. Fellas, we are 5 deep on virtual with intern Grant behind us. This is a big day. College football preview, semifinals. This is where it could get sketchy, and we're going to see how wrong the committee is for setting up this disaster of a bracket. From some people's perspective, or are we going to see some higher seed upsets? It's going to be a little weird this week. Joseph, you are the only one with a fandom left in this race, so it's a big week for you, my friend. And we got to talk a little NFL too. Also, I'm excited about this because got to watch a lot of terrible NFL on Sunday, but a lot of good one on Christmas and beyond to Saturday. Oh, so that's our little rundown. G, tell them about that presenting sponsor, brother.
That's right. We got Mike's, a hole in the wall, Chattanooga's favorite place for sippers, beer lovers, game day fans, families, professionals, and people that just love great food. All since 2008. They've got you hooked up for every single game day. Yes, we've still got obviously some big college football playoff games coming up in the next couple of days, NFL games with major playoff implications. So sorry, Meg, I know that was a tough one for y'all on Sunday night, but why bother trying to set up multiple TVs in your own home when you can head down to Mike's, located in downtown on Chattanooga's North Shore at 535 Cherokee Boulevard, and have every single game right at your fingertips, plus the best wings in town and other delectable food items with the friendliest staff in town. And don't forget, you don't have to feel bad about leaving your dog at home either. They have the largest dog-friendly patio in the city. So check out Mike's Hole in the Wall today. Do it now. Thank me later. We love Mike's.
Much love. Much love, Mike's. How much you missing some wings right now, Miggy?
Oh, I could crush right now as we speak.
Yeah. Hannah and I are like, we're going to lose some weight. And this is not fun. I gave up. I had a bag. My mom brought a bag full of Oreo balls.
Oh, God.
They didn't even stay in my home for a day. They had them send them off to work. They're at somebody else's tummy now, boys.
Wow. You know, I'm not that disciplined, man.
Must say, doesn't New Year, didn't January 1st you start like in 2 days? You got a couple days, man.
No, bro, we gotta keep ripping this thing early. We're a little behind on the old half marathon schedule, so now I've got to put in like 9 weeks of work, and we'll see how it goes.
See how it goes.
GT, welcome back, bro. We missed you.
Hey guys, what's happening? Yeah, dad life. That's no freaking joke, man. Definitely happy to be back. So thanks for leaving a seat for me on the screen. You're on mute.
It's a microphone.
All right, we can pick up, man.
Yeah, not going well.
Pick where I left off.
There you go. You got it.
Pick up where I left off, boys. Thank you.
You're back.
Yeah. Well, I know it's very touchy. Like I literally can't even like breathe on this thing. It sucks. Anyways.
Yeah, we got a lot of good college football.
Hey, GT.
Oh yeah, GT, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm about to say, hey, right off the top, like first show back in a while, and I got some good news and fun news. So on February 1st, the boys here have chatted up. Yes, the Fab Five right here at Chatted Up. We are going to be at Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply out in Ottawa. February 1st, there's going to be 10 contestants, 10, doing a chili cook-off. Chili cook-off for cash prizes. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna be doing a live show. We're gonna be judging some chili. We're gonna talk a lot of barbecue, show the shop around, make a whole deal of it, drink some beers. It's gonna be a great time. So come on out if you want to get involved and get with the chili contest. You'll find out at Owl's Nest Facebook page by Steve Ray. But boys, I mean, I'm ready for some chili. It's getting cold out there, starting January.
Dude, it's gonna be cold as crap on February 1st. We're gonna be eating.
so cold.
No, but it'll be fun. I mean, he basically just said, "Hey, eat the chili. Don't be rude."
Blind taste test.
Blind taste test. These boys are going to be smoking. They're going to be, smoking some more. I don't know, but they're going to be doing all kinds of smoking in that meat, and they're going to put it in a dish for us, and we're going to eat it. So, we're going to have fun. I think it's going to be a great time. So, no other way I'd spend it than with you boys. Of course.
Bring the appetites.
So.
Heck yeah, dude. Bring them. Boys, we got a lot of appetites to fill for college football. Joseph, bro, I can't believe that you guys are getting the absolute beautiful 8:45 time slot. I can't. Your game's my favorite. I'm down to like go backwards on these chronologically. Where are you at right now after seeing Notre Dame put on kind of a clinic defensively and rushing? But Riley Leonard's still a guy out there that's to me, the most important player left in the playoffs for his team. Where are you at right now?
Quiet confidence, I guess. Kind of like we're still Georgia, and I think that what Notre Dame does well, specifically with that secondary, because they can cover with anybody in the country. Even with Carson playing and the way that Georgia's won games this year, I don't think that was the strategy going in. I don't think that was how we were planning to go in and be like, yeah, we're just going to spin the rock everywhere. So now with Gunner coming in and you having a half of a game of rushed film on him, I feel like it kind of gives you an advantage a little bit if you're the Georgia Bulldogs. But I don't think something that Saban said on McAfee today. He said, you notice when Gunner came in, the game plan didn't change, and I got to thinking about that, and I was like, he's kind of got a good point. They kind of kept rolling with what they were doing, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, they kind of had to, because it's not like they planned for Gunner to come in and start the second half, and they built this second half plan around him. It's not like they were thinking midweek. They're like, you know what, guys, we're gonna pull Carson after the first half. And we're gonna just throw Gunner in there. We're gonna totally surprise them. We're gonna have a full-on game plan. Like, they went with the game plan they had for Carson. They didn't change because, number one, they believe in Gunner, and number two, you can see the players believe in Gunner. To watch the roster and to watch the guys get up for him like that. I don't know if y'all saw the clip. I'm sure it was shared all over social media. But him and Trevor right before the first snap, a little like shoulder tap and a little like hip tap, and it was just like, hey, let's go, man, let's go. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel really good, because if the players are bought in, the players are going to play better. And if they are going to galvanize themselves around this guy and really, like, if he can pull out the best version of this team, I think they'll have success in what they want to do. I do also feel good about the defense having success against what Notre Dame wants to do. I don't think Notre Dame's going to be able to. I do believe Riley Leonard is a really good running quarterback, and I think Notre Dame could do some of the things that Georgia Tech wanted to do, but it's not the same offense, and that's not something you're going to just install in more or less 7 days if you're Notre Dame. Well, roughly 10 days. So I feel good about their ability to kind of contain Riley Leonard and Jeremiah Love, even though he is a stud. Jeremiah Love is an absolute stud. So I think if you can force Riley Leonard to have to beat you through the air, then I feel pretty good about Georgia's chances. And I feel pretty good about their ability to hang around in this game and kind of do what they did against Texas in the SEC title game. Hang around long enough to give yourself a chance to win. It feels like this game's going to be played like 1st to 21 or 1st to 24. Like, if somebody gets to 24, they're probably going to win the football game. I don't know if this is a game that anybody thinks is going to be played in the low 30s. So that also makes me feel kind of good, because Georgia I feel like they've been pretty good in low scoring games with Kirby. So I'm going to say I'm feeling quite quiet confidence about Georgia going into the Notre Dame game. Not like, hey, we're going to blow them out, and not like, oh yeah, Notre Dame's never beaten Georgia.
I think y'all have a lot to be nervous about in this game. I'll be honest with you.
I'm not really. There are Georgia fans, and there are sects of the fan base that would be nervous, but I mean, I'm not really nervous, because I mean, we're throwing Gunnar Stockton out there. We're throwing out a backup quarterback. So if we very well could lose the game, 100% Notre Dame. I'm not, by no means am I trying to say that Notre Dame couldn't win this game, but I don't know. I've just got a little bit of quiet confidence about the Dogs going in.
I appreciate your quiet confidence. I really don't know. Again, to me, it seems like there's so many different ways that Notre Dame is better than Georgia in this game. And I get it. It was sort of the same way against Texas, but I think this might be a little bit different. And I know we've been kind of talking a lot about Notre Dame and their loss to Northern Illinois. They're kind of a different team, than they were way back when they faced Northern Illinois. You look at just what their defense can do, and you mentioned it. It's going to be a lower scoring game. I would not expect there to be a ton of points. As good as Riley Leonard is, and as good as Jeremiah Love are. And look, if Notre Dame's smart, they're not going to try to run up the middle on you guys. They're going to try to get to the edges. And so to me, that's what Georgia has to cue in on. They're good enough up the middle, but if you start letting Riley Leonard, who's a good enough athlete, under center, you talked about, a game against Georgia Tech and the running quarterback, and then Jeremiah Love getting to the outside. If they get to the outside and break that contain, that's going to spell trouble for that Georgia defense. And then you look at this Notre Dame defense, and we know all about how good Georgia's defense is, but when you look at this Notre Dame defense, 94 coverage grade, 13 interceptions, 32 forced incompletions, a 54 passer rating allowed in man coverage this year. They love to play the man coverage, and then they play with a lot of heavy boxes, which is going to make it very difficult for y'all to run the football and for Gunnar Stockton to have time to throw the football. And then we already know, we've talked a lot about how inconsistent, how shaky this wide receiving core is for the Georgia Bulldogs. Miggy's made the point many a times. Brock Bowers is no longer here. Ladd McConkey, who's turning into a bona fide superstar as a wide receiver in the National Football League, is no longer here. So to me, there's a lot of problems for Georgia in this game. And to me, it's, hey, what does Gunnar Stockton have? To me, he could be the X factor. If he somehow comes out there and just puts on an absolute display, the offensive line blocks their asses off, and they give him time to throw the football, and God willing, the wide receivers and tight ends actually catch the football, you might have a real shot. But
yeah, for sure.
To me, this is going to be a real tough game for Georgia, especially with a backup quarterback. I'm looking at Mike Bobo in this game, and I'm saying, man, what do you have? You need to draw up a perfect game plan against man coverage. What man beaters will they use? Are they going to go with some meshes, some picks? Are they going to run a lot of bunches? Like, what is your take on the way that Mike Bobo is going to run this game and this offensive game plan with Gunnar Stockton under center? I know it's really hard to sort of say because we don't really have any. This is his first career start in a college football playoff game. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the offensive attack here for Georgia?
Well, it's not only just his first career start; it's the first game plan that they've built around Gunnar. Because the Texas game was not the way that they would attack somebody if they knew going into the game that Gunnar was going to start. You're going to see more quarterback runs for sure. He's not a speedster. He's not a speed runner. He's not somebody that's going to, run like a 4.5 or a 4.6. He's like a 4.8 guy. So he's a little bit slower, but he's a tough runner. So he's somebody that can, if you need 4 yards, if you need 5 yards, maybe if you need 6, just to an extended drive on like a 2nd and 6 or a 3rd and 4, something like that. He's definitely your go-to guy in that situation. And I think that's something you'll see more out of Bobo's game plan than you did in the Texas game, because in the Texas game, it was kind of like, well, okay, we have Gunnar. Like, this is Carson's out. We're not coming back. So you give them 3 weeks to kind of game that plan up. I think you'll see more designated runs from the quarterback. As far as the receiving core goes, like you said, man, that's been a up and down experience all year as a fan. That has been Arian's got to drop the first one that comes his way before he starts catching passes. Where is Dylan Bell? Oh, Oscar Delp waited until the Tennessee game to show up. Okay. So that I think your best option is to, like you said, go deep in the bag, pull out any kind of man beaters you have, because Notre Dame's going to be able to run man defense. For a fact, they're going to be able to run man coverage because your receiving core is just not. You don't have a Jeremiah Smith or a Evan Stewart or a Teteroa McMillan. You don't have a guy like that just strikes fear into opposing secondaries. So you've got to find creative ways to maybe screen guys open or like you said, mesh or pick guys open, and then also get creative in the run game with sweeps and jet motion and jet plays because I think that's one of the strengths that Arian has, because he really is a speedster. He's incredibly fast, and that's what they've tried to use him as mostly in the past few years, was a over-the-top burner ball kind of guy. And this year, he's kind of been forced into that, well, hey, you got to be like wide receiver one guy, and I don't really think that fits his skill set. Whereas he's much better as like an end-around kind of guy because he's just got that kind of speed, and you have good blocking tight ends. So I think that's more along the lines of what you'll see in the game plan from Mike Bobo, is some more design runs, some more quarterback design runs, not necessarily like option style plays, and then some maybe more like creative runs and some jets and things like that.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have to get creative with ETN. And I think that's one thing we saw when Gunner came in was the use of the true like dynamic running back that you were hoping ETN would be. Like I really feel like that switch flipped for him towards the end of that game. And you're watching this guy and you're like, man, this is going to be, if this is how this offense is going to be, holy crap, like ETN really is the guy. So you kind of feel like him and Love cancel each other out. So Gunner's going to have to wind up playing true quarterback. I mean, both these lines are nasty. Like these defenses are special. Like that's one thing that I'm really worried about for Gunner is most of the good stats come from garbage time. And from what I saw on that terrible interception, which, it's one throw, I get it. But I just don't see why Gunner is going to just like tear up teams in this first run out. But you've had 3 weeks. We'll see. I just don't know how they're going to get that creative if Gunner's not as good as – if Gunner's as bad as I think he's going to be. I think Riley's an okay passer. I think they're going to get creative. But if you're Georgia, you got to start worrying about the edge stuff. And I think that's where the relatively average wide receivers for Notre Dame are going to have to come into play. But I don't know. This is like a weird matchup because you don't feel like either wide receiving core is great. I mean, there's some like all right tight ends out there. Don't get me wrong. But for the most part, like you're not seeing any true dynamic players outside of your 2 running backs right now. Like I don't think Riley Leonard is not Haynes King. Like Haynes King is a scary, scary man. Like that really,
he's a dog.
He's a true dog, and he's got more twitch than Riley's ever even thought of. Like that's another part. It's like, yes, because they're white running quarterbacks, everybody's like, oh, they're the same. It's not the same.
I don't know if I agree with that, man.
Really?
Riley Leonard was absolutely outstanding last year at Duke, right? He was able to make a lot of guys miss. I think in Notre Dame that's carried over. I love what you guys are saying about obviously Georgia's going to have to get to the edges, to Greg's point, and not sure if Gunner can be a pure passer. We're not going to see Matthew Stafford on New Year's Day, but we will see Kirby Smart running up and down that sideline, and I think that's all you need. That's all you need. You got the best in the game.
Yeah. From a pure passer standpoint, there is something. Do you guys okay? So y'all are familiar with Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, right?
No, Georgia high school football legends.
Yeah, they both came from the state of Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Both of their records for passing yards and passing touchdowns have been broken
by Gunner Stockton.
You know who broke those records?
Gunner Stockton.
Gunner Stockton.
That is high school. I mean, that's high school. That's cute.
Is he? It is. Yeah, it is.
Doing a big game, big stage, Sugar Bowl.
He has his chance. He 100% has his chance. So
I think Notre Dame's just the hottest team on paper the last, 2 months, right? I mean, they're 10-0 since they lost against NIU, and they look damn good against Indiana. Like really, really good. And listen, the defense, I get it. The defense, they didn't play the same par of teams as the SEC does, but they still ranked second nationally in defense as far as I think yards allowed per play, which is like 4.5. I mean, so they're going to be able to – they're going to stop Trevor Etienne, and they're going to be able to at least cause some confusion from a relatively young and an inexperienced quarterback on the very, very big stage. Very few moments, unless you're Tua, do you get the big call-up in a college football playoff and then perform well enough to win that game. Very rarely does that happen. So I would say that Notre Dame is the hotter team in this game. I mean, I don't see how you can have too much confidence in that quarterback when because I've been 18, dog. Like that shit's tough.
Mhm.
I mean, imagine imagine doing that in a college football playoff. I don't know. That name wouldn't work for me. So I just think Notre Dame's got. I think Notre Dame is actually going to win this game.
Well, to Spiffy McGee's point, Notre Dame has played absolutely nobody at this point. And I mean, you look at their schedule and look, it's not Georgia's schedule. We know that. We've been through the schedules and all of that stuff. But Indiana was a pretty damn good football team. Again, not a great football team. And Georgia's schedule is obviously more difficult. But what do y'all have to say about Notre Dame not playing anybody?
You walked into Kyle Field and did what you had to do. They played somebody and they beat somebody multiple times. They literally should have beat Texas if things would have gone a different way. They were potentially contending for an SEC championship berth. Like, don't want to hear that. I absolutely think Notre Dame. I'm giving them where their credit is due. They played somebody. I think that's a bad take.
I don't see. Yeah, that's the thing. Is like you go into Kyle Field against two guys that there's a couple of those guys, those defensive linemen, they're definitely going to the NFL. And Navy, Louisville, like I understand an Army, they're no slouches. Like I don't understand that. That's one of those that, yeah, they're not highly ranked wins, but going against Navy and going against Army this year, like they're better teams than we expected. Like, kind of going out and got some W's towards the end of the year, both teams. And, Louisville was Louisville. Like they're a pretty good top 35 team. Like that's where it gets me is a lot of these times you're going to look at Louisville and they're not going to have the 15 next to their name now, but there's not much difference between 18 and 25 and 25 to 32. Like I think Louisville's probably in that top 32 range. It's a good win. It's a good dub. I don't get that.
Well, Spiffy is big on it. The big take on January 2nd will be, oh, well, I guess Georgia is still Georgia. Yeah, well,
I mean, we'll find out. I mean, that's why you play the game.
You mentioned Kirby is him, But I will say this. I wanted to throw another stat at you guys. I mentioned sort of the man coverage and the way that Notre Dame plays in the elite defense that they have against man coverage this year for Georgia when they're going against man coverage. The receivers have a 62 receiving grade. That's 100th in college football. They have 19 explosive plays versus man coverage this year. 6 of them came against UMass. The receivers can't separate. Like we've been kind of talking about it. And Notre Dame doesn't have anybody special on the outside in terms of receivers anyways. And Riley Leonard is not the most prolific passer in the world. This to me feels like it's going to be a real fast game, boys. It's going to be a lot of ground and pound. It's going to be a lot of running football. It's going to be like, some quarterback runs, some draws, some different things there. Every once in a while, we'll mix in a pass. I mean, it's not going to be a true triple option, but it just seems like the game plan is run the football, play defense for both of these squads.
Yeah, that's the thing about Rob. That's why I mentioned Riley Leonard is still, even against Indiana, he only averaged like 6 yards per completion. It's not great. Not great pop. But if he plays well, this team's potential is through the roof. That's what's
it's championship level material. I mean, that's what it is. I think all these teams left outside of Boise State and Arizona State have a chance to win the whole thing. I don't think that the disparity is too far apart between those teams. I think you have a lot of contenders in this game or in this particular upcoming slate.
I would agree with that. And I would say this is probably the closest it's been we've had. We've had multiple teams outside of like maybe 3 or 4 that could actually win a national title. But it's still a tough road. And
still a tough road.
Notre Dame for me has kind of taken on the James Franklin era or the James Franklin like attitude that I have for them. Where it's like, you're great against everybody that you play. You beat all the teams you're supposed to beat. But until you beat somebody you're not supposed to beat, I'm going to have a tough time picking you. Because year in and year out, we've seen Notre Dame do this. We've seen Notre Dame build to this point and fail consistently. And that's with multiple head coaches. That's with Brian Kelly and with Marcus Freeman. And that's someone who's personally, I am not affiliated with Notre Dame, not a Notre Dame fan. Big fan of Marcus Freeman. And I really wanted to see him have success, and he has so far. But like James Franklin, until you do it, it's going to be the same story year in and year out. Notre Dame's going to choke against somebody that they, on paper, should lose to. And I know it's Georgia with a backup quarterback, and I understand that. And it's a guy we haven't seen in any time outside of garbage time and a rushed half against Texas. But, man, it's still Kirby. It's still Glenn Schumann. And just like they did in both Texas games, where they found a way, where they were like, hey, you know, against first time they went to Texas, whole panel picked against them. Second time they played in Atlanta, everybody but Pat picked against them. Feels like a lot of people are kind of doing that and riding that same train where they're like, you know what, man, it's just you got a backup quarterback and you're just, I know you're still Kirby Smart and I know you still got about 7 million 5-stars, but it's Notre Dame's year, man. Miss me with that, dude. Give me the dogs. I'm gonna roll with what's been consistent, and that's been Kirby in the playoffs. Y'all see the head record they showed, the head graphic that Fox put out, where they showed all the playoff records for each team. Boy, Kirby sporting a 5-1 record.
Who was the one team?
5-1, baby. Bama.
Nick Saban was coaching that team. He's not in sport no more, man. We're looking at the modern day GOAT right now, fellas.
Yeah, Spiffy said he's going to delete his Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube account if Georgia doesn't beat Notre Dame by 17. And then he went on to say that he'll divorce his wife and slap his grandmother as well if they don't beat him by 17. So
dang, grandma's got dementia too. He's gonna slap the memories back into her, man.
Dang, dude.
I'm not gonna go as far to say Georgia wins by 17. That's a bit of a stretch for me, but I do think Georgia wins this game like 17-14, 17-13, something like that.
It's gonna be ugly.
It's gonna be real slow. It's gonna be real slow.
Yeah.
It's going to be a slow game, but a fast game at the same time.
Yeah. Fast and
we're gonna see a lot of good action happen inside the 20s.
Yeah.
Kind of how I feel about it.
Yes.
Hey, this is a great game.
But you can't finish in the end zone because nobody can throw it.
This is a great punter showcase, dog.
Yeah.
It's like,
for the brand. For the brand.
Poor bad. Too bad that Brett Thorson's not. We miss you, Brett.
Dude. God, punter's about to show out and get some draft pick. Draft stock rising.
Yeah, get it up.
I love that. I've got it. Let's see.
All right, so Georgia, you got Georgia, Joseph. Miggy, where you going?
I do, man.
Rolling with the dogs, man. Give me Kirby, and it's not by 17. We're not smacking nobody's grandmother on this family program. But give me Georgia. I mean, what, they're favored by 1? I think that's enjoy yourself.
Garrett?
Give me touchdown, Jesus. Dun, 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 dun. Go Notre Dame. So give me the Irish.
Chase?
Let's do a GT. Go Irish, baby.
Why not? Yeah, go Irish.
Go Irish.
I don't think y'all ever picked a game together in the history.
This is the first, I think.
Yeah, I don't.
Finally, we'll be right.
Here we go.
I don't feel good about being on the same side of the table as GT when it comes to picks, but I'm going to go with Notre Dame as well. I'm going to go with Notre Dame as well. Chase, I'll roll with you guys. It just if Carson Beck were playing this game, I would probably go with Georgia, but Gunnar Stockton is such an unknown, and I understand that Kirby is Kirby, and I get it. We could all sit here, the next show and be like, well, you know what? Georgia being Georgia, Kirby's the GOAT, the whole thing. And I'll wholeheartedly admit to being wrong once again, but it just feels like there's so much going against Georgia in this game. I'm gonna roll with Notre Dame.
Same. Let's do it, boys.
Yeah.
Irish by a million.
By a million.
By
a million. That's
all right, Rudy. Calm down, brher.
I had to take one. I had to take one from Shane. Alabama Jones, baby. Alabama. I cannot believe I just went with the Catholics too. I feel so dirty. I don't love that.
All right, what's the next one on tap here, Chase?
Next one. Let's go backwards. That's just another monster. I wish we were in it. I wanted to go to the Rose Bowl so bad. Oregon, Ohio State. I don't know how everybody feels about this one, but man, I hate Ohio State more than I ever had before. And yet they're still, when they're at their best, there's nobody better. Ohio State, Texas, and Oregon are the three most talented teams as far as player potential, individual player, draft picks, all that stuff combined. Those are your three teams right now. And two of them are playing against each other, and we have to potentially watch Arizona State and Boise State. Maybe move on.
Yep.
We're going to miss one of these teams. Potentially, Joseph. You never know. I don't.
Sorry.
Potentially, don't give me your little
My bad.
smirk and shake.
I'm just
saying.
We'll get into it. We're going to cover those games.
We'll cover those games. So, all right, Smarty. Like, who do you got? Oregon, Ohio State.
Oh, man. So pouring over this game, like, these could be the best two teams in the nation. And I kind of wanted to, there's the saying, it's hard to beat a good team twice. Kind of proven that this year, that's kind of false. Georgia smacked Texas twice. Sorry, had to get that one in there. But no, pouring over this game, I thought to myself, I said, what stands out to me in terms of factors that could determine how this game plays out? And what I keep coming back to is the quarterback performance, because we've seen Dylan Gabriel kind of light the world on fire, and he did it in the first game against Ohio State. But we've also kind of seen him throw games away, and he did that in his last year at Oklahoma against Kansas. We've also seen the same thing from Will Howard. Will Howard lit the world on fire in the game against Tennessee. He also didn't look great in the game against Michigan. You could say that's game plan. You could say that's scheme. You could say that was them trying to go out of their identity. Still proves that Will Howard looked the way he looked in that game. And the factor that also stuck out to me the most was the performance of Ohio State in the Tennessee game. Because it felt like that game not only was a good performance, but kind of a statement. Not to the country, not to Tennessee or Ohio State fans. It kind of felt like a statement for Ohio State to their own team, to all the players, to each other, that, hey, we can do this thing. We can win. We are better than everybody else. And when we play like Ohio State, we can win this game, and we can win a national championship. And I think that Tennessee game sparked a lot of momentum for this team. And I wanted to pick Oregon again to win this game, because personally, I was really rooting for Dan Lanning, and I was really rooting for Oregon to get their first national title. But something about that performance against Tennessee, something about the way that they came out and they played to their identity and they played to their strengths. And Jeremiah Smith, he had 100 yards in this game the first time. I think Ohio State gets this done this time. This is very much a 51-49% lean for me, because just like Jeremiah Smith got 100 last game, Evan Stewart got 134. And this time you're probably not going to have Trayshawn Holden going out because he spit on somebody. So you're going to have Evan Stewart and Tez Johnson and Trayshawn Holden for the whole game that you'll have to deal with if you're Ohio State. But something just felt different, man, for me after that Tennessee game. And I feel like this team's playing with a different attitude. And in college football, I think that makes a big difference, because you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old, 18 to 24-year-olds, I guess, now. And then Cam McCormick from Miami, who's like 45. But I think momentum and I think energy makes a big difference in this game. And the way that they looked against Tennessee made me feel like they were going to lean into who they are a lot more. And they were almost on their way to winning this game the first time. And really what it came down to was Will Howard just made one lapse of mind play and took that and slid, and time ran out. If he does that like a half second sooner, they get the timeout, they have a chance to kick the field goal. I'm not going to assume a college kicker makes that field goal and wins the game. That's just foolish. But they were very much in this thing the whole time. And that was at Oregon with College Game Day and a riled up crowd in Autzen Stadium. So now you get them at the Rose Bowl, neutral site. You're familiar. Like this is Ohio State territory, is the Rose Bowl. So I'm riding with a feeling, and against possibly my head versus my heart here, I'm riding with Ryan Day and Will Howard, and I think they're going to get this done.
Well, you know what was interesting about the last matchup, and you mentioned sort of that last drive. There was also an offensive pass interference on that last drive as well that kind of put them behind the sticks a little bit. And, you know, it was really interesting. And as I was kind of doing some research for this game, you know, beforehand and looking at it, what Oregon was able to do that only Michigan was able to do to Oregon was to sort of negate their two best defensive players in Sawyer and Tuomawa. You know, those guys are both great against the run, but in that game against Oregon the first time around, they had like, according to Pro Football Focus, it was like 25, 30 points or 30 points less on their run, you know, defending grade than they normally do. So what Oregon was able to do in that game was say, hey, look, we're going to identify the lesser of the two players in terms of attacking the run, you know, in terms of running the football. And that was Tuomawa. And they went at him. And then they made Jack Sawyer sort of that, you know, trailing defender. And he wasn't able to be as aggressive as they wanted him to be. So I would assume Oregon's going to try to do something along those lines. We know how good Dylan Gabriel is in this game. And, you know, we've kind of talked about at length when it comes to Will Howard on this show of, do we really believe in him as a passer? And do we believe in this offensive line? Like that was a huge narrative going into the Tennessee game. And that was what we kind of really dove into. I know it wasn't on the show where we recapped the game, but my biggest key to that game was, hey, we need to get pressure on Will Howard. Now, I thought Tennessee's defensive line was going to be able to do it. They couldn't. They didn't show up. They didn't get the pressure that they needed. And everybody keeps ragging and questioning this Ohio State offensive line, and they keep proving people wrong. At least they did in that game against Tennessee at the shoe. They were able to protect Will Howard. The pass rush isn't outstanding, you know, when it comes to Oregon. So for me, like, you give Will Howard a clean pocket in which, look, any quarterback in the nation is going to be better when they have a clean pocket versus pressure. But him in particular, he has a clean pocket. You have all of those receivers in Carnell Tate, Abuka, and Jeremiah Smith as well. Like, to me, like, this is a no-brainer. They almost, you mentioned it, Joseph, they almost beat them in Eugene last time around. They probably should have beat him in Eugene last time around. You mentioned it that Ryan Day they seem like a sort of a team possessed almost. And they're playing with a purpose, a little bit more of a purpose now. And it's kind of to save Ryan Day's job. We've talked about it. Like they need, in order for Ryan Day to save his job and to come back from that deplorable Michigan loss at home, you need to make a deep run in the college football playoff. And what better way to do it in round one against Tennessee at home, round two going up against Oregon, you know, the team that won the Pac-12. Oh, sorry, the Big Ten, the Big 12. What is the Big 10? And now you get a chance to go a little bit deeper into the college football playoff. So give me the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now it could be a close game. Dylan Gabriel is still a very good quarterback. You mentioned Dan Lanning before. He puts together a fantastic group with the Oregon Ducks, and they do a really good job out there in Eugene. But give me Ohio State. They seem like a team possessed. They're one of the most talented teams in the country when they're playing well. And right now they're playing well. Chip Kelly looks a lot better. He has a lot better grasp on how he wants this offense to run. They're going to protect Will Howard, and he's going to cut him up.
I like it.
Dynamite dropping.
But anyway, but seriously, I'm kind of with Joseph on this. I think Ohio State's got this, and I think there's a reason why. And I think you have a cocky Dan Lanning, young coach, got the whole future of college football in his windshield, and then you got a coach with a back against the wall, like you mentioned, lost to Michigan again, did not look his best, and there's really kind of running out of rope here as far as the fandom of Ohio State and Columbus is concerned. And so I think they're going to put a lot of emphasis, Ohio State is, into really emphasizing their offense and then that front line. I'm telling you, I bet you that O-line is going to crush it. If you can absolutely stop, Mateo Ugalele? He's got 10 sacks on the season. If you can cover that front line and just allow your Travion Hendersons, your Jeremiah Smiths to just go to work, just do your thing. That Will Howard mistake, that lapse in judgment earlier in the season, he's going to get that back. He's going to definitely get that back. Ohio State, this is their game to win. Pasadena is where Ohio State, for whatever reason, there's a chakra point in Pasadena, California for Ohio State. I don't know what it is, but the energy is well for them every time they play there. Who was the receiver? He had 4 touchdowns last year or 2 years ago? Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, it's just natural. So give me the Buckeyes, baby. Give me the Buckeyes.
Biggie.
Yeah, man. I spent the holiday with my father, Christmas with him, and we hopped on our Instagram and said there will be vengeance for the Tennessee Vols. I will never pick Ohio State in anything at all, ever. Oregon's going to win this game by 21 plus because, to me, this is the best team since the 01 Miami Hurricanes, according to our TikTok comments.
Oh,
and I kept receiving.
I was like, "Where's he
Y'all
going?"
talking crazy about me. They said get a new black guy, y'all.
Oh man,
They did tell us
Oregon's
that.
gonna come out and they're gonna hang 21 plus on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Guys, I'm lying to your faces. Ohio State is gonna run away with this game. Jeremiah Smith is absolutely, positively the best receiver I've seen this year. It's not even close. Love Ryan Williams to death. Jeremiah Smith is different. We haven't seen Judkins really get loose. Carnell Tate, I mean, he's their third best receiver, could be a one really at 115 other programs in the country. We haven't even talked about Njigba. There's so many different pieces for Ohio State. I think that Sawyer potentially, if he goes to a good NFL franchise, has a chance to be a Pro Bowler. We can keep going. $20 million is one hell of an investment, and money's going to come due in Pasadena on New Year's Day. Give me Ohio State, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
but you'd rather lose to the better team, man. Like that's the thing. Like you would want Tennessee to lose to the next, that team to beat the next team because you feel better about your team, right?
Tennessee didn't just lose though. Tennessee got their ass whooped.
Well, yeah.
like call it what it is. Like Tennessee absolutely got they looked bad at all phases of the football game. So no, I don't think that's the same team. And to Joseph's point, Ohio State really should have beat Oregon in the first matchup if it wasn't for poor decision making by Will Howard. I don't think that same guy is gonna show up. And Dylan Gabriel is who we think he is, unless he's playing the Texas Longhorns. So Chase Green, I'm turning it to you, brother.
Boys, I even said this at the beginning of the season that Oregon was going to get back-to-back W's. This is how it's going to work, fellas. Brian Birch comes back. He is back here for the Oregon Ducks. They didn't have to deal with him the first time. That just adds another defensive monster to that front line that played one really good game against a defensive front line that I don't have that much trust in now in Tennessee. I thought they were an advantage for us, but we just saw a lot of guys lose their draft stock because they don't play up their potential. I think we have a lot of pretty decent guys.
Yep.
We don't have any studs. I mean, I think Pierce has potential, but that's all we're seeing. He didn't rock anybody's world most of the year. He definitely didn't against Ohio State or Georgia. That showed. When we played really good teams, nobody answered. This is an Ohio State front line that I do think is taken advantage of this weekend by a good defensive line in Oregon. And there's just something about the magic of these quarterbacks that are, 30 years old, go up to Oregon. Dan Lanning takes a hold of them, and the receiving core is at full potential. There's something about that Ohio State team that all right, we're going to play our best game right after losing to Michigan. And that's all they're going to do to me. That's what I feel like. I feel like they're just going to go back out there. Will Howard's going to be pretty meh. I think they're going to try to run the football too much. I don't think it can attack the edges like they did against Tennessee. Every single drag route, every single sweep was worked perfection. That won't happen against Oregon. Oregon's too fast. Their linebackers are better than Ohio State's. they're really going to take advantage of them. I actually think Oregon wins by like 6 or 7.
Wow.
Yeah, boys.
So we're missing a field goal, maybe. All right.
Yeah. Watch out, fellas,
I don't know.
because I'm either going to run away with this core 4 or we're going to wax. So here we go.
Yeah, last time around, and you just want to look back to that last matchup when it comes to Oregon and Ohio State. Like, the cornerbacks for Ohio State were terrible. I mean, they got absolutely cooked. You can't be playing man coverage against these wide receivers and this quarterback in Dylan Gabriel. In this game, coming up this week, one big thing I'm looking for is for Ohio State to play less man coverage, try the double high looks, bracket coverage. Do not run as much man as you did last time. I mean, you have excellent safeties in Down and Ransom. That's a lethal combo. Like, rely on those guys. Go a little double high, little bracket coverage. Do something to help out those piss poor cornerbacks. They ranked 83rd in the country in coverage grades, the cornerback. So there's your big weakness. That's what Oregon wants to attack. Do something different this time around. I think Ohio State's going to be smart enough to do something different this time around and play much better and give some support to those cornerbacks because they left them out to dry last time.
Yeah, but Down has to play up, man. Like, that's the thing that's why Oregon's so scary is they can just attack you in 6 different ways. Like Ibuka and Smith, they had I think they both had 100 yards last game, with both of them have like 9 and 10 targets. So these guys are just unbelievable to guard. But Oregon has 3 or 4 guys that can really get a hold of you. I mean, Colonel Tate, let's see. I had this open. Yeah, he's 1 catch for 13 yards. That's all he had against Oregon. So he's somebody that could come out and scare you. But there is this factor to Oregon. There's just so many really good weapons that you almost have to play man and hope for the best. And don't take the Tennessee strategy where you have mediocre corners and you're going to play everybody. That's not a good idea. So both teams kind of dice each other up. Like, that's the thing is the defenses didn't really show out. Like, Sawyer really struggled against Oregon's pass defense, like their offense. Like, it's just like, I don't see where these teams get better offensively. I hate to say that. I think both these defenses are playing so well that this will probably be a lower scoring game than that last one. So I don't know. Like, both these teams, neither one of them really had turnovers. It was just two fumbles lost by Ohio State.
Yeah,
that was it.
One by Will Howard and one by Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah, that's the interesting part. Is like, this might be 1, maybe 2 turnovers all game, and you're done. It's just these two teams are probably the best overall teams left in the college football playoff, especially with Beck being out. Like, that's one thing to me is like, for you, Joseph, I don't know how you feel. Maybe you are more confident. Like, it just doesn't feel like there's such a big gap right now.
No, even if Beck's playing, dude, Georgia's receiver core is what it is, man. It's a liability. Like, even if Beck is playing, like, it's still not something you feel great about compared to like Ohio State and Oregon. Your receiver cores are in different galaxies.
Yeah, especially these two. God,
yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, you got Evan Stewart, Jeremiah Smith. I mean, you've got between Evan Stewart, Tez Johnson, Jeremiah Smith, and Emeka Ibuka, probably, a guaranteed top 10 receiver. And then Evan Stewart's probably a late first rounder, and Tez Johnson and Emeka Ibuka are probably 2nd and 3rd round guys. Like,
nasty.
Like, they're just loaded with receiver talent.
They're not wide receiver but they're all right.
They're all right, bro. They're all right. I mean, good gosh. Like, there's so much offensive talent in this game.
For sure.
Jordan James. Like,
it's gonna be a good one.
And you mentioned to me, Judkins and Henderson haven't been incredible.
Judkins has been a normal guy. Like, what we saw at Ole Miss last year is not compared to what we've seen at Ohio State this year. I'm telling you, he's due for like a 150 3-touchdown type of game. He's so due.
Yeah. I thought they would both have over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, there was supposed to be like a Thunder and Lightning, like a college version of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, but we haven't seen that.
Especially with Chip Kelly's offense.
Yeah.
Do you guys believe in Chip right now? Like, I mean, one good game and you're kind of back on the Chip train?
I'm starting to believe a little bit more.
Is it one good game or is it one bad game against Michigan?
I think it was more the one bad game, and I think he made the necessary adjustments, and you saw them against Tennessee. And to me, I'll continue to go back to it. It really is the lack of play on the defensive line's part for Tennessee, and what Will Howard was able to do with time. Like, to me, that was the biggest factor to make me feel comfortable going into this game to pick Ohio State, just because I feel like, look, if they were able to hold up against Tennessee, they'll be able to hold up against Oregon. And Will Howard has proven to me with those receivers that, hey, he can do some damage when throwing the football when given time.
I guess I just kind of look at it like the Nebraska game and the Penn State game, like you're barely getting to 20. I get that's kind of why I look that way. I mean, they played some teams that don't give me Iowa as a decent team. I don't believe in that. The Indiana game, that was your next most impressive.
Yeah.
That was a run out. But again, we saw kind of what Indiana is. It's just, to me, he's been pretty good. It's just one of those things. Like, I think I almost expect like 40 plus with this amount of talent. Because I don't even think Will Howard's like, I've never thought he was a poor quarterback. I mean, I still think he is underwhelming compared to your wide receiving core. Like, you have so much true top first 2-day talent on your roster that it's like Will Howard, he might get drafted. I don't know.
Well, he's also just different from the past 3 quarterbacks that have been at Ohio State, and CJ Stroud and Justin
Very
Fields and Dwayne Haskins. Like, he's just a different quarterback. So, and Will Howard, coming from Kansas State, coming into the season, we all knew it was like, hey, Will, you don't have to go out and win it. You just have to not lose it.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the talent, the rest of the roster is talented enough. Now, in games like this, in games against evenly talented teams like Oregon, and if you play Texas, then it kind of becomes like a, hey, Will, you might have to go out and make a few plays. And he did in the first one. Like, he didn't throw any bad picks. He threw for 326, 2 touchdowns, 28 to 35. Like, he went out and elevated himself to that level in the first game, good enough for them to win. I say all that, and he could do that again in this second game. He could also come out and just do the complete opposite.
Yeah. Because you said
that kind of
earlier,
goes.
like, you're talking about like legit like 0.3 seconds. Like, that's the thing about the slide is it's a weird amount of time. Like, I feel like the play before they burned too much clock and they did all this things you just weren't supposed to do. And they just never got down. But that's another part. It's like, if it wasn't for 0.3 seconds, who knows? Yeah,
It's like Raheem Morris clock management 101.
Could you imagine that, Malcolm Harris? Like, not call a timeout.
Why are y'all coming at me when I'm just here?
This man's
I'm
down.
just chilling,
Y'all kicking
man.
him when he's down, dog.
Like, come on, man.
Listen, boys, we are now the number 2 pick in Tennessee.
That's right.
Well, you guys are gonna call Shador's name. He's gonna act like he didn't hear you guys say his name.
Yeah, he's like, can I get traded?
That ain't coming to Nashville. He wants to go to Vegas.
Yeah, gosh, I would too. Probably at this point, this sucks.
I mean, they're both not good franchises right now.
They're not. All right, let's go back to Wednesday, 1:00. Texas, Arizona State.
Wait, you mean yeah.
I'm right. This time I got it right,
sorry,
Jesse.
sorry.
I was ready for this.
I was like, wait,
I was ready.
no,
for
dude.
this
I don't know what I haven't known what day it was since like the 21st.
Oh, that's a fact. Yeah,
I've been in a blender, dude.
and it's weird too. Like, these games being played on a Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Texas, Arizona State. Does anybody want to start off and give me some belief in Arizona State besides they're fun? Go ahead, Greg Laundry.
I'll give you a little bit of leaf here. So the one thing that, when looking up some things for Arizona State, the one thing that really stood out to me about what Dillingham does and what Sam Levitt and Cam Scadaboo, I mean, those guys right there are just the guys that you have to talk about. And the one thing, and the one way that Arizona State might have any sort of a chance is that when it comes to their offense, they are like the Lord of screens. They are so dynamic when they use their screen game, and that's the one big plus for Texas. Look, they have a great secondary. You're not throwing it deep on them. There's no real explosive plays that are going to happen against this Texas secondary. But where you might be able to get them is confuse them a little bit. Be so dynamic in your screen game. They run 24% of their passes are screen passes. That is the most in the country. And we're talking all different kinds of screens: slip screen, tunnel screens, wide receiver screen, running back screens, all these different things. And it's not like they just do these things and they just do them to do them, and it's just like quantity over quality. It's no, when they do them, they're really good at them as well. Third in yards per attempt, first downs and touchdowns, they're second in the country. Explosive play percentage, they're fourth. And they can kind of maybe utilize or neutralize this really good Texas secondary. And then, of course, there's Cam Skattebo. And he's a man who, look, not quite as good as Ashton Genty, but he has 92 forced missed tackles. I expect this man to have about 35 plus touches. And the one thing that this Texas defense not great with is missed tackles. They miss a lot of tackles. They might have a great secondary, great offensive line, the whole thing, but they've missed 17% of tackles on runs this season. They've had many issues tackling running backs. And Cam Skattebo is going to be one of those guys that is going to be really, really difficult to tackle. So if there's going to be a bridge that we're going to build for Arizona to somehow shock the nation and win this game and prove that their bye was worth it and it was worthy, they were worthy of a bye, it's going to be Cam Skattebo breaking a bleep ton of tackles, having about 35 to 40 touches in this game, them screening the dickens out of Texas, and somehow pulling out some sort of trickery to confuse this really, really good defense. There's the bridge that I'm building to Arizona State possibly winning this game.
It's there. It's there. There's just
I love it.
no belief. I can't. Especially,
I'm not thinking Arizona to win, but like if there's a way that they're going to win,
there's a bridge. But there's a
that's
bridge.
the way that they're going to win. Texas has to play a real bad game in this one, fellas. Like Texas has to play an all-time terrible game. Cam Skattebo's got to put on that Superman cape and say, "Hey boys, jump on my back. I got y'all." Sam Levitt's got to be really, really good because there's nothing special about this Arizona State defense. They're small, they're fast. And the one word that I've heard people use to describe this defense is they give a lot of effort.
That's not what you
probably
want
means you're not very good. No.
She's beautiful to me. It's just one of those.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like everybody in the state of Arizona is like, well, they're pretty.
He said that there's nobody out there that can stop me. That's what Cam Skattebo said about Texas. Guys, Texas State gave Mr. Skattebo 2.6 yards per carry. Texas Tech, 3.3 yards per carry. And Kansas State, a whopping 2.9 yards per carry. You know, if nobody can stop Cam Skattebo out there for Texas, Margot Robbie's coming home with Miggy Harris. We just both lied to each other because somebody's going to stop Cam Skattebo during the New Year's Day festivities, and Margot Robbie is never going to know that I exist.
Isn't she dating Brock Purdy, who's playing right now?
No.
What? No,
I saw somewhere where she was dating.
Yeah, don't believe everything you read, G.
I don't know.
I don't think that's true, man. I would have to sign off on that. But
yeah, bro, you might have a virus on your computer after clicking on that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys, it's Greg. I appreciate you for speaking for our Sun Devil faithful, but yeah, it's gonna get ugly.
Texas is a big team, like you said. The defense is small. It's hard to tackle and block and get around really, really big boys, especially on the front. And those receivers are damn tall. You got two quarterbacks who can sling it. Cam Skattebo, I mean, he is good. Don't get me wrong. He will make a Bill Belichick offense in the future NFL, very happy. I think he's a great slot. I think he could do that, but he's not going to save this. And I looked at Sam Levitt's passing yards for the year, Dude, he has only like 100 more, not even 100 more than Ashton Genty had running. I mean, you're you're throwing it to, Greg. Yeah, ain't that many screens. So, yeah, give me Texas. I think it's very clear. It's hard to see Arizona State doing anything in this.
When the first thing that people have to tell you about your quarterback is that he's fun or he's an adventure, that's not a good thing, boys. That's not a good thing.
No.
This guy, Sam's a roller coaster. You never know what you're going to get. Like, he's not had a crazy amount of turnovers, but there's a lot of those games from what I was listening to and kind of watching. And even from the last ones, you're like, man, that's a pretty close pick. Or, my God, he overthrew that guy. There's a lot of those comments that can be made throughout a game with watching Sam Levitt. I don't think there's this potential of them just lighting up the world. You're going to have, if you're Arizona State, you're going to need like a couple pick six. You're going to have a terrible Quinn game, a couple pick sixes or a pick six, and just dominate field position because they can't move the ball somehow. I don't know. It seems almost impossible. Like, this is like my least hopeful upset. Maybe Scatterboo has a decent game, but I don't know. Just can't. I can't get down with this. I think Texas by like 21. I think it's another beatdown.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be a beatdown. Texas is just they're bigger, faster, stronger. This is like a true David versus Goliath sort of matchup.
Yeah, this kind of feels like the game where they move. They're like, oh yeah, we got to really restructure this whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that you've said that, because I was going to save it until after we had gone through all the games, but Brett McMurphy on Twitter earlier today had tweeted out, per a source of his, there will be in-depth discussions about not guaranteeing conference champs the top 4 college football playoff seeds in 2025. Top 5 conference champs would still get into the playoff, but rankings would determine seeds, sources said. They would require unanimous approval by all stakeholders to change in 2025, but conference commissioners open to getting the seeding right. So, yeah.
So the Clemson scenario would happen again, is what you're saying, Justin?
Clemson would be guaranteed a spot, but like Clemson and Arizona State would have both been guaranteed spots, but Arizona State and Boise State would not have been guaranteed buys.
Okay, so Boise State would have been the 11th seed, basically.
So yeah, how it would have looked this year is your buys would have been Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, like 4 of those teams, fighting between Notre Dame and Penn State as the last bye. Because if you're doing this, then Notre Dame, that opens up Notre Dame to get a bye, which anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Side note, that's what it would have looked like this year. So that's something that I think everyone saw coming when the first bracket was revealed. It was like, oh yeah, this ain't gonna fly for next year.
Yeah.
Because Oregon got absolutely screwed. So,
well, I saw something to the effect of that, Joseph, as well. It was put it up on our story at Chat It Up Sports. Go check that out. Follow us on all platforms. By Elite College Football and All College Football, and it had the matchups, and you kind of like you were talking about. It had Oregon as a number 1 bye, Georgia number 2 bye, Texas 3 bye, and Penn State 4 bye. And then the matchups. Listen to these matchups. See, to me, this would have been a much better playoff. You got number 9 Boise State going up against number 9 Indiana. That would have been a good matchup. Love that. Clemson number 12 versus number 5 Notre Dame. Also a fair matchup.
Yeah.
Arizona State versus Ohio State. Exactly what Ohio State should get. A more of a cupcake matchup in that first round game. And then Tennessee number 7 versus SMU number 10.
Yeah. I mean, and the problem is when you do these auto bids like that, you're going to have some level of disproportionate matchup. Like Ohio State getting Arizona State is a disproportionate matchup versus them getting
a first round game. Like you're going to have a higher seed versus a lower seed that kind of should be a little bit disproportional.
Yeah. Well, also your penalty is that you have to play a first round. Your penalty is that you have to play a first round game. So
exactly. Yeah.
But anyways, so I had built out this nice, like, I had looked at like a stat profile for this ASU Texas game, and I was like, I was coming with some numbers, man. And then, Greg made the case, and I was like, the more I listened to it, I was like, God, I can't even buy into my own case for Arizona State. Because, I mean, here's my problem, man. Jordan Tyson isn't playing. He's out for the season. Sam Levitt has 2,400 yards on the season. 981 of those go to Sam Levitt. He has 23 passing touchdowns. Or, sorry, Jordan Tyson. Sorry. Yeah. Sam Levitt has 23 passing touchdowns. 9 of those are to Jordan Tyson. And 981 of his yards go to Jordan Tyson. You know who their second leading receiver is? Cam Scatterbo.
Let's go those screenplays.
See, that's the problem for me. And when Greg mentioned this in his case for Arizona State, if this man's getting 30 to 40 totes and he's getting screenplays, dude, he's only human. I know Cam's
he's
great.
going to get touches, not carries. I'm saying like 35 to 40 touches. So that includes runs and passes caught.
Still, 35 to 40 touches against this Texas defense is not going to be a fun time. Getting hit by Anthony Hill and getting hit by Colin Simmons is not – you're not going to have fun with that. Here's the thing that also –
might have to go visit Chase's with that new ice bath.
That's
exactly.
Right. Hey, I did a little pre-pod plunge too.
Nice.
Ice bath special elite.
Yeah, I cannot feel my toes still.
Because here's also the things that concerns me is like how you're going to have to make up by Jordan Tyson's absence with wide receiver by committee. I mean, Xavier Guillory, Maquan Stovall, and Shimon Mateer, they have all 300 yards. Xavier has right over 300 yards receiving. Xavier has 5 touchdowns on the season. Shimon has 5 touchdowns on the season. Melquan has 0. Like, you're talking about 3 receivers that have less yards combined than Jordan Tyson. So, yeah, I think Sam Levitt's a solid quarterback. But, brother, if you can't get the ball to nobody, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What kind of success are you going to have? Like, and I'm all about I'm all about the little comments about how he, in his presser, he talked about how he's going to prove he's a better quarterback than Quinn Ewers. Brother, you might be a better quarterback than Quinn Ewers. People might not argue that. People might argue right now you're already a better quarterback than Quinn Ewers. But Quinn's throwing to Isaiah Bond and Gunnar Helm and Silas Bolden and Matthew Golden, and like, you're not. So,
he's got a better team around him.
He's got a better team around him, man. And I ultimately, like, as much as I want to believe in Arizona State and killing Kenny Dillingham and they're a good story, I think Texas rolls, man. I don't think this game's close. I think Cam Scatterbo probably has his worst game of the season. Texas's defense is averaging. Their defense averages 3.1 yards per rush attempt, which is 10th in the nation. They're 9th in rushing yards overall and 2nd in pass yards per game in defense, 2nd in scoring defense. They haven't played like the most dynamic offenses all season. I'll give you that one. They haven't. But they're not exactly playing Ohio State or Oregon. It's Arizona State without Jordan Tyson. So give me Texas. And give me Texas by like what Chase said, by like 3 touchdowns. Yeah. I think the horns roll in this game.
Dude, especially seeing Wisner and Blue kind of turn it on in the rushing game, that gave me the biggest scare. I was like, oh, if they can run the rock like that, this is a terrifying team. I get who it was. I understand this was Clemson, the ultimate Dabo backdoor, but still, like, to watch those guys do that against an ACC champion, that'll make you feel good, man. This Texas team's ready to run, dude.
And I mean, Clemson, they're 64th in rush defense. Arizona State's 21st. Yeah. They're statistically a better defense against the run. But Texas went for 292 on the ground.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me against Arizona State? And that's against, like, Peter Woods is an NFL player. Barrett Carter's an NFL player. You tell me this offensive line's not going to be able to push around Arizona State?
Yeah. And they also get over 200 in the passing game. Like, this is that offense, man. Whew. I know Georgia's got their number, but if they can turn it on like that and they play like the man-possessed stuff, this is a tough road for the next stop. If that's Ohio State or Oregon, it's gonna be Oregon. Then, dang, dude, that's gonna be an awesome matchup. I can't wait to.
Yeah,
This side of the bracket. Can't wait for it all day. Do y'all have any New Year's traditions? Like, do y'all eat like certain stuff on New Year's with the fam?
Oh, I loaded up on the collard greens, the black eyed peas, the cornbread, the ham hocks, all that stuff. Already loaded up this morning. Know it?
For me, we always went to my uncle's house, and he always made like a ribeye for New Year's Eve. And I actually went and saw him this past weekend. It was his birthday, and he actually got engaged, so we're real happy for him. And he made we had us all over for dinner like before the party, like the day before, and he made ribeye. So we ate good on Saturday night. Saturday night. It was Saturday night, and other than that, not really. That was really the only thing that we did. We always went to their house in Virginia growing up, but that was really it.
Maggie,
I'm the same camp as GT, man, but I had a little chicken in there, man. Some fried chicken.
Oh, you do chicken?
Yeah. Some mac and cheese to go with it. But yeah, I'm telling y'all, black eyed peas are the worst.
Oh, not the way I do it, bro.
The only thing I like about black eyed peas is Fergie.
Hey, come on now.
That's it. Fergie.
Yeah.
Touche, bro.
That's touche. That is a touche. But nah, man.
Yeah, go ahead, GT.
No. I was just gonna say I agree with you. That's it's like you got to do it. It's green for the money. It's cornbread for the gold. It's black eyed peas for like the
It's luck, right? I think
it's luck. Yeah.
There's another one? Like, what's the ham hock for? There's something else for that.
Ham. It's like pork is good luck. You just want to have pork. So it can be bacon, ham hock, whatever. It just pork is good luck as well on New Year's Day. So but you can't, like, you got to eat it New Year's Day. Going backwards. You miss it, you fucked up. Like, I mean, you messed up. I mean,
kids show, GT.
We get one show.
You get one a show, baby.
I get one a show. I'm just saying, you get no more luck after that. You can't go back to the second eat it.
We don't have to put explicit content on it yet.
Okay. Anyways,
that's all you got, bro. Yeah, because
it's like a PG-13 movie, man. You get one well placed again,
and that was pretty well placed.
I was going to use it when I was talking about Arizona State, but I decided against it.
Well, because you knew that.
Yeah, GT was going to let it fly at some point. He was back. I had to give it to him.
First show back in like a month. It's dropping F-bombs, baby.
Let him
rip. Instruments, right?
So
let him rip.
Y'all do anything for New Year's? Y'all do anything?
No.
I don't know. I don't think we are. I don't know if we are or not. The family might, but yeah. The black eyed peas, I eat collard greens once a year, and that's on New Year's Day. I don't love them.
Oh,
you
dude. Depends how you make them, man. You gotta it takes like hours to soak those things.
Well, I douse the vinegar on there though. That's for sure.
Oh, I do.
Is that like a Southern thing? Like, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
What collard green?
Probably.
Like the black eyed peas and the collard greens and
cornbread
and all that. Like that wasn't anything I ever heard about up north.
There's a lot of broke people eating those black eyed peas and those collard greens for money and luck every year, bro. I'll tell you that. There's a lot of broke Southern people eating those. Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of tickets coming in. Well, I ate the collard greens.
Well, I got that good luck. There's that green, that money.
Now I guarantee you there's a lot of sports bets going on. Like, today's my day.
Of course.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Malcolm.
Listen, man.
I saw something on. I think it was the Cook the Books guy. Hilarious dude up on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if it was him or somebody else. I could be misspeaking, but he got it was like a Secret Santa thing, and they all had like $25-$30 to spend, and he got his sister and he built her out a parlay for $30 and had put the piece of paper in an envelope and gave it to her for the Secret Santa. It's like $30 could be $500, could end up being nothing.
Probably cash.
It's pretty smart.
Who knows?
I want to eat that actually.
It's kind of funny.
I think a nice parlay. I can't win those. I'm definitely off that train, but
yeah.
Oh, and then what do we have?
Wednesday night standalone or the Tuesday night standalone game.
Boise.
In
James Franklin special, baby.
Yeah.
So
the Heisman snub.
You're still, Joseph, you're still on the, this is a game James should win, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep. This is a game James Franklin should win. I am on that train.
Yeah. So after this round,
Mm-hmm. After this round, we're counting his record against, like that counts against the Ohio State-Michigan record. If he makes it past Boise State, then it's like, okay, now this counts against your record in big games, James. If he loses to Boise State, that's just like a whole nother category of just like, brother.
Is that a fireable offense?
At Penn State, no. I don't think so. If you're at Ohio State or Oregon or Georgia or Alabama or if you're one of these perennial top 5 recruiting schools and you lose to Boise State in the playoff, the fan base might pay your buyout by the next morning. But for James Franklin, no, I don't think so. You'll have some of the fan base to be upset for sure, because there's always that fringe part of the fan base that's like, well, we should win the national championship every year, but they're not really realistic. So
if Genty goes for like 230 and a couple tutties and they lose, that's the only way I think it's fireable. It's like you are, I don't want to say the best defensive line, but they might be.
I feel like, I mean, at that point, Penn State just no-shows if Genty does that, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like if you just blank defensively against Genty, like that's the one thing is like you want to let Madsen like sling it. Good luck.
You want to force him to. Because, I mean, you're like, Madsen's only had one 300-yard game this season, and it was against San Diego State, and they are the 67th best pass defense in the nation. Penn State is 12th. Penn State's 12th in pass D.
Well, I moved my head around.
You're also not having to deal with Abdul Carter playing against San Diego State.
Yeah.
Who is a man amongst the boys?
Yeah. Here's the thing I'm worried about. Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
I was just going to, real quick, you get into it in a second, but I think it would be really interesting, and the thing I'm going to be watching out for early on in this game. Everybody's expecting Ashton Genty to sort of run the ball. I would love to see them come out and just do like a little, Miggy's old boy, Dirk Cutter, doing a little like play action and then letting Maddox Madsen throw the football a little bit just to see if they can get anything early on and get any shots.
I think you have to. Mm-hmm. I think that's your best avenue to win this game. Because if you go out and you do that and you force the defense back and then you can let Genty run the ball, he doesn't have to do what he's done every other game. He doesn't have to have that level of production. But you have to take care of the football, and Genty has to do just enough for you to keep the football long enough to not throw pick sixes like Kevin Jennings did for SMU and keep yourself in the game and give yourself a chance to win it late. Because I don't think you're going to be able to come in and just run Genty and, have your way against Penn State's defense. And it's not exactly Penn State's not an offense that is just litting up the world, but they did put up 35 or 37 on Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pretty solid defense. So you'd think they'd be able to score. I know the defense kind of took the day for SMU. They had 2 pick sixes and a fumble recovery for a touchdown or something like it. That game kind of buried itself. But
Jennings.
What I'm concerned about is, like, say you look up in the third quarter and Ashton Genty's got 22 carries for 54 yards.
Oh, God.
What does that game look like?
He needs 132 to pass Barry Sanders for the all-time rushing record.
So
does postseason count for that? I guess it does.
Yeah, it counts for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little botch, but it is what it is.
Call it what it is, Chase. It's Bush League. All right.
Well, it's like Brock Bowers, what was it? Breaking Ditka's record or getting a Ditka's record, whatever it was in terms of receiving for tight end. Yeah, he broke Ditka's record, but it was in 3 more games or 2 more games or whatever it was.
It's fine.
Yeah, bro. He got Aiden O'Connell throwing him the ball. Don't be coming from my boy. He's catching passes from Aiden O'Connell.
And if you want to say he had a better quarterback than Gardner Minshew, just say
Washington State's finest.
Washington State's finest, baby. I guess if that, to go back to your point, Joseph, if that's the case, I think Penn State's up like 28-0.
Up at least like 14 at minimum.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
that's
at that
just
point, I
like-
feel like there's like probably pick sixes.
Yeah.
That's one thing that defense is going to do.
Yeah. Or Drew Aller's thrown like a red zone touch or a red zone interception or something like
Yeah.
that. Like, here's something that kind of stuck out to me. UNLV was one of the best teams. Like, Oregon was the best team Boise played all year. Let's just go ahead and get that out there.
Oregon, you said Oregon, right?
Oregon
Yeah.
was the best team that
Yeah.
Boise played all year. Yeah, yeah.
For a second, I thought
Behind
you said
that was
UNLV. I was like, what?
no. I was about to say UNLV for all
Yeah.
intents and purposes. Like, in their league, UNLV was the best team they played. Oregon was the best team overall on their schedule, and they only lost by 3. But that's also, second week of the year. Second week of the year, Notre Dame lost to NIU. So we're chalking up some mulligans. Teams change. You get 12 instances of these teams, and then the playoff games. But in their game against UNLV the first time, that was at UNLV, Genty had his lowest yards per carry of the season. It was 3.9. And Boise only won that game by 5, but they were losing in the fourth quarter. And Genty had 33 carries to amass for 128 yards. If he gets to 33 carries against Penn State and he's at like 70 yards, brother. I mean, it's just, I just don't, I'm curious what Maddox Madsen can do if Genty's just a non-factor. And it's hard for me to imagine him being a completely non-factor because of how good he's been this year. But this is, I mean,
This is different.
this is different,
very
man.
different.
This is very different. It is.
This is the team that won't have to put 8 in that box.
No.
That line's too good. They won't have to just stick there and put 8 in the box and leave guys out on islands. Like, you're going to be able
But they
to
also don't. Penn
Yeah.
State doesn't tackle very well. They're 85th in tackle rate this year, and since week 10, they've missed 85 tackles, the second most in FBS. They have the 11th highest missed tackle rate.
Yeah, I think they played Ohio State in one of those, right?
They
Oregon.
played Ohio State and Oregon.
Yeah, I get that. I get
so-
that.
I'm saying that's since week 10, they missed 85 tackles.
Yeah. I just still feel like that front line is going to be so nasty against Genty. Like, I mean, he's going to – I don't think there's going to be just a shutout. We're not going to see that. You're not going to see that for Scatterbo. You're not going to see that against Genty. Like, they're going to get theirs in some form or facet. But this is the one – people are trying to use the Oregon game, too, as like some sort of like prop up. But that was a very different Oregon team, as you mentioned, Joseph. Like, that offensive line was very strange at the time.
They were
gave
shuffling
up
their
7
offensive line.
sacks at that point, and they'd only given up 5 or 6 all of last year. Well, they've only given up 6 sacks since that game. So very different team. The weird Idaho game Oregon had, like all that was strange. Very, very, very different teams. So I kind of don't want to use that game. Like I get that's a very talented team. You got your number. Like probably help them get in the playoff. Like, that they compete against Oregon. A little different now. A little different. Penn State, what they did to Jennings, SMU, yikes, dude. Like that poor guy didn't know how to step it up in a pocket. And Madsen's definitely not faced a defensive line like this because Oregon wasn't fully healthy then either, and they were still trying to figure out some things on their front seven. So I think now they're about to get the worst of the worst they've seen, and I don't know where they're going to find offense if Genty's held under 100 yards, to be honest. Like it's going to have to be some defensive miracle not miracle. They're just going to have to play the best game they've ever played at Boise State because Drew Aller is your guy that could screw you up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what the guy have 13 for 22, less than $150 last game against SMU. Like the SMU's defense did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Against Penn State. So maybe you're going to have to force some turnovers. Like you're going to have to just dominate field position. And I don't know if they can do that, but maybe they can. Take advantage of Drew Aller. Good luck. But Penn State by like 20.
Yeah, I think they're favored by 11. Have I read that?
10.5, I think was the last time.
Yeah, 10 or 11.
Last I saw.
Who's got the biggest spread in the
Arizona State.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
But this would be second, right? This would be second.
Yeah, it's 11. According to ESPN Bet, it's -11 for Penn State.
-11. Okay.
Okay.
And Texas is, I believe, it's 13 now. It opened at
Going
12 and a
down.
half for Texas.
Honestly, they're closer than I thought they'd be. They're only like less than 2-score games.
That sounds,
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, GT. I think I would have probably put the Arizona State game like higher than that, but I think that's gone down. I feel like it was like 15 and a half. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that would be up there. College football lines are weird. Like Ohio State, Oregon, Notre Dame, Georgia. I kind of feel like those are perfect.
Yeah.
Super low, basically pick'ems. But those other two, no. We'll see.
Another
All right,
thing
who you got, Biggie?
I wanted to just throw out one
Go
thing about Maddox Madsen real quick, in terms of, him staying, ahead of the sticks a little bit in this Boise State offense. I heard this stat earlier today, and I really couldn't believe it. On 3rd or 4th down, with 4+ yards to go, Madsen is 111th in the country in passing grade in those situations. I mean, that's just 4+ yards. Like, that's it. Like, that's tough. Like, if they're expecting to be that ahead of the sticks that often, I mean, it's going to be really tough because this defense is really good for Penn State, minus the missed tackles. They're still a really good team. You mentioned Abdul Carter. He's going to get after it. He's going to make things very difficult for Madsen in this game, in terms of disrupting, the pocket and not allowing him clean pockets to throw in and things like that. So in order for Boise State to have any sort of success in this game, they're going to have to constantly get in 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 1s, 4th and 2s, 4th and 1s. And, they're probably going to have to go for it on a couple of 4th downs because they've got to keep up and they've got to continue to score with Penn State. When Drew Aller wants to use the middle of the field, he can be really good. He didn't really have to do that in that last matchup against SMU because, as you mentioned, the quarterback was throwing pick sixes to the defense, left, right, and center. But I suspect that Aller will be more aggressive in this game, throwing over the middle of the field, and he's been great when doing so. He's got like a 92 passing grade over the middle, 9 big-time throws, 11 yards per attempt, and 137 passer rating. Tyler Warren also didn't really get much involved in that game against SMU, last week. I'm expecting him to have a bigger role and to be more featured this week. You mentioned it, Chase. I could see Penn State winning this game by like 14 to 21 points.
It's scary. I hate it because if you are like a Genty is just a running back, plays for Boise State, like you're going to get a lot of hate. Like those guys are going to give a lot of hate to Genty. I'm like, man, the guy was still unbelievable. I don't care where you play. So I guess I don't want that narrative whenever it happens. Like if he's under like 150 yards, he'll still try to be like, well, shows you that he wasn't ready for the big house. It's like, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
I'm in that camp.
Of course you are, dude.
I just think I'm salty because I wish that my team was still in the playoff. Give me Penn State, but I'm so hesitant. I am so hesitant. It would be so James Franklin to lose a game like this. It's just the brand would be forever James Franklin, but I just think they have a better team. I think there's better talent. But I'm so weary about it. Like I want to pick Boise State, but I can't do it for some reason. I just don't believe in it.
There's enough reasons for you not to go to Boise State.
Yeah, I just think it's been cute, But like TCU was also cute before they lost by 55 against the University of Georgia a couple years ago. It was cute. I think it has the potential to be that way.
It's a team sport. It's not a running back only game. It's got a whole slew of scholarship players who are trying to go that next level, show their stuff. This is the last bit for these seniors. I think Ashton Genty, honestly, I think he breaks Barry Sanders' record. I think he does it this game. I think it's in a hard-fought loss, and because Boise State will throw everything they got at them. So, and it's one thing if Oklahoma knows is Boise State, they got some tricks up their sleeve. So that's just something to do with their program as part of their brand. They got the Statue of Liberty, so why not? I don't know, the Eiffel Tower next time. I don't know. Make up something else.
Well, they are 3-0 in these jerseys. They're 3-0 in the postseason in these jerseys. So
The 3-0. See, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, just hey, sometimes the universe says something, and if there's anything 2024 show me is that freaking anything's possible. So, as a dad to a little girl, anything's possible. So,
so I got a cool stat for you. So, according to Boise State, shout out, Genty set a single season record in college football era for yards after contact. He had 1,900 yards after first contact.
Insane.
He has forced
Wild.
143 missed tackles.
it's a lot.
When rushing against a 7-man defensive front, Genty has accumulated 1,829 yards and 25 touchdowns on 266 carries.
It's a dog, man.
Bro, 7-man fronts.
Any other year, man, he wins the Heisman.
Any other year, you just happen to run against the best overall.
Any other year, any other running back year, man, he wins the Heisman.
He's gonna have to be like Cam Scatterbo. He's got to put on that Superman cape. If Boise State wants to win, you're kind of building the same bridge that Genty's gonna have to put on that Superman cape. And maybe they haven't really thrown him the football that much. Maybe they decide, hey, Dirk Cutter says, why don't we start throwing him the football a little bit? Maybe they won't be expecting that as much instead of just turning around and handing it off. Maybe they try to get cute like Garrett was talking about and get a little tricky in there and throw him the football, get it to him out in space. Again, Penn State misses tackles. I talked about it earlier. They will miss tackles. So if Genty puts on a Superman cape, that's the only way that they're going to win this football game.
It's going to have to be very creative. This is going to have to be, like you said, GT, maybe you're going to start creating some plays, man. Get Genty out in space and make it nasty because you don't want him running against that front line. That's the big thing. But I don't know. Sweeping Penn State house. NFL, boys.
Wait, real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Because we all swept those last two games. If you absolutely had to, pick one of the upsets, who are you going with? Not for our official picks, not for the core 4 picks, but since we all swept Texas and all swept Penn State, if you had to pick one, who do you think is going to lose?
Boise. I would pick Penn State to lose.
Yeah.
Just because of James Franklin and how nasty Ashton Genty is.
Because I think the Aller thing could actually happen. Like him.
I was about to say the inconsistency with the offense for Penn State, it could keep Boise in the game more than you would expect. Texas to just not be able to score against Arizona State.
Picking Texas to lose because Quinn Ewers. I don't think Sark has the gumption to do what Nick Saban did to Jalen Hurts in this big of a stage. I don't think he would pull Quinn.
I think he would.
I would be with you if he hadn't already done it once this season.
But this is for everything?
Well,
this is for everything.
There's nothing after this. So if you get to that point when you've still got half a season left and you're like, hey, let's just try Arch. If you get to that point in this game with everything on the line, I think Sark would do it. He's not a dummy. You always talk about how awesome he is, how much you love him. Why would he not make a smart move like that? If Quinn just don't have it, and if some way somehow they're getting pressure on Quinn Ewers, and Arch is a more mobile quarterback, anyways. Because somebody's going to be a 5-star one day and be like, if I'm not good, are you just going to pull me for the hot shiny item that's in the garage? No, it gives that team the best chance to win. Okay, so exactly what Nick Saban did. That happens to me. Are you going to pull me in the biggest moment? If I have to pull you to keep my job, I'm gonna sit your ass. Yeah. Ride the bench. Crazy. It's a cold world, man.
Cold world, baby. Man. College football, welcome.
It's a business, dog. It's a big business.
Listen, just make sure those.
It's always I know it's always been a big business, but now it's sort of more legitimized.
It's a real business. I get it.
The transfer portal stuff this week was too much.
Man, Tennessee getting kicked around in this portal nonsense. Garrett talking about Nico, and then I see Mike Matthews might be transferring, and we're trying to rework that NIL deal. They reworked Boo Carter, so now he wants to get in on the offense. Like college football, geez, Louise, these head coaches have not a lot of power.
No wonder all these people are leaving. No wonder all these people are leaving.
Yep.
We're going to see a lot of kids leave, or a lot of coaches leave soon.
Yeah. If the sport doesn't change, you'll see a lot of good coaches go to the NFL.
Oh, the NFL is about to be a really quality product.
The NFL's coming back to the college. Look at Belichick. He's in at UNC, man. And he literally gave him a 400-page list of like demands saying this is a pipeline of the NFL. We will not study a class here, and my girlfriend will also get into any school that she wants within the UNC graduate program.
I love it.
That's what he.
Don't you guys feel like that's how every program is going to have to be? Like, especially big name places like Carolina, obviously not in football, but like the potential's there. You're like, dude, this is the brand wise of Carolina is massive. Like any big brand or hopeful is going to be like, all right, we're going to get a real GM. I mean, you have Michael Lombardi as your GM of football for Carolina, dude.
Yeah.
You have 2 Belichicks on staff. No telling who else comes around. Like, that's how it's going to work. And, these contracts are going to look so weird. It's going to be people bouncing all the time. Like, every in-between coach, if they can get a staff ready in time and get a fat stack of money, like that. What if Vrabel comes back next year and gets a real GM for Ohio State? Like, what if Ryan Day somehow gets fired, which I don't think he should, but possible. Then, like, why? If he's like, I don't like any of these jobs in the NFL, but I can hold on for another year, just like how Belichick's probably going to do, because the buyout only turns into $1 million. So you're like, I'm going to use a placeholder for college football and just keep doing this, basically the same thing, like working with a GM, getting a very, very nice recruiting staff that's also just a bunch of ex-NFL evaluators. Like, those are the weird things. And Belichick was talking about, he's like, I got a lot of kids coming to my DMs on Instagram, which I never thought I would say already. Like, these guys have so much notoriety, and they're going to have real GMs and real money evaluators that this is going to get strange. It's not going to feel the same.
Hey, there's only one way to go after losing to the UConn Huskies in the bowl game.
Yeah, we were just getting set up for next year. Freddie Kitchens was our coach, okay?
Freddie Kitchens. Oh, my.
That was our interim head coach.
Jeez, what a name. I remember that guy.
Oh, what a terrible idea for the Cleveland Browns. That was like the most Cleveland Browns thing to ever do, is to hire Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah, when he got named the interim, I was like, wow, this is going to go real bad.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
90% of our offense was missing in Amari Hampton. So,
yeah, Jim Moore got a nice little extension off that.
I saw that. Yeah.
Bring back UConn football. Let's go. Playoff bound in 5 to 10 years.
Good luck with that, dog. Good luck with
that. Is that when the playoff eventually gets to 64 teams?
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
It's going to be like a NCAA March Madness situation.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Last 4 in, the UConn Huskies.
That'll be my own personal hell if we get to 64.
Oh,
dude,
we would see so many kids injured.
There's no way. There's no
way.
Dude,
I would.
Hey, UConn looked good against Nebraska. Was it Nebraska they put? No, who did they play? North Carolina.
Where were you in this conversation?
11 a.m. Pinstripe Bowl, baby. Missed out, GT.
Weird kickoff.
Oh, it fit though. I was like, of course Carolina would play it freaking 11 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah.
Stupid. NFL, I want to get there. I ask you boys a question. Give me your top 5 Super Bowl contenders after this week. I feel like we got a lot of good answers out of this week, and we're going to see a lot of people sitting probably come week 18. I don't know about you guys, but it feels weird when everybody's like, nah, I'm out, but smart play. I think we're going to miss Saquon and most of the players besides like the 2 that are up there in the Lions and the Vikings actually battling it out next week for the number 1 seed in the NFC, which wouldn't have put that on my bingo card. So, G, I'll start over here with you, brother. Give me we can go around the table, or do y'all want to just do 5 at once?
I'll say 5 at once.
5 at once.
5 at once.
5 at once.
God, this is so difficult for me because I did my top 5, Super Bowl contenders and pretenders, up on our social media this past week. And I'm really, after this weekend, trying to find a way to put the Minnesota. This, as weird as this sounds as a Green Bay Packer fan, I am trying to find some way to put the Minnesota Vikings in my top 5, because as much as we want to rag on Sam Darnold, he's actually played he's had an incredible season passing the football. He's been efficient. He's taking care of the football for the most part. He's not seen ghosts anywhere. It's amazing what happens when you get out of East Rutherford, New Jersey, and away from the Carolina Panthers. And I know, Miggy, I'll give you the credit where credit is due. You don't always have the best takes in the world, but you've been saying it since the beginning. Brian Flores is an absolute beast of a defensive coordinator. He's got that defense playing lights out. I mean, he made Jordan Love look a little shook yesterday. I'm not going to lie to you guys. And that's hard for me to say as a Packers fan. I still love you, Jordan, but dude had 64 yards passing in the fourth quarter. That was eye-opening to me. But yet I can't find a way to put them in my top 5 just yet. I know the Lions are playing right now, and they're down at halftime as we're currently talking to the San Francisco 49ers. But I still believe in the Lions more than I do in the Minnesota Vikings. So my 5-1 is going to be the Baltimore Ravens at number 5. Lamar Jackson's playing better. He's not going to be the MVP this year, but he's won plenty of MVPs. And one could argue this is maybe the best the offense has run under, with Lamar Jackson at the helm. The way he's throwing the football, the resurgence of Mark Andrews, you've got Isaiah Likely there. They've got Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman's playing well. And, of course, you've got the dynamic runner that is Derrick Henry. Now, the defense, it's not what we've seen in years past, and that's why I kind of have them at number 5. They're starting to sort of figure it out a little bit defensively. And then you've got the Eagles at number 4. This is probably the one I'm most nervous about, just because you don't know what's going to happen with concussions and Jalen Hurts. Kenny Pickett's now injured, so they're on to a third-string quarterback. I know they're playing the Giants in the last week of the season. Saquon's got the rushing record, kind of right there. But for my money, he shouldn't play, stay healthy. He's the most important player on that team. You've got a bunch of dynamic wide receivers, obviously the top 2, Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. So I've got them at number 4, and the defense has been playing awesome. Quinion Mitchell has been, a godsend for them in the secondary. Cooper DeJean is playing better as well. In that defensive line, obviously Georgia North is tearing it up as well. I've got the Lions at 3, gritty, tough-nosed team. They've got a lot of injuries in that on that team, but they find a way to win. And I was listening to the radio today, and I was listening to somebody talk about the Lions. They made a really good point that, Dan Campbell isn't calling plays for the offense. That's Ben Johnson. He's also not calling plays for the defense. That's Aaron Glenn. Dan Campbell can kind of just manage the game. And I don't mean to pile on you again, Mig, but Raheem Morris, the way he mismanaged the half and at the end of the game, not using timeouts when he had a plethora of them, to me is mind-boggling. And I get it how things can happen in that way, because you've got a lot going on, especially when you're a play caller. And you're trying to manage the game, and you're trying to get the right formation and the personnel on the field and things like that. But Dan Campbell can just be the game manager as the head coach. People obviously respect him. They play hard for him. That's why I've got the Eagles at number 3. The Bills are at number 2. They decimated the Jets. Josh Allen's going to be the MVP this year. And what I love about Josh Allen is he's not trying to play hero ball at this point. He's allowing everybody else to sort of make plays around him, and he's leaning on everybody else. It's not all about Josh Allen. Garrett, you said it earlier when talking about football. It's not a one-man show, and Josh Allen is finally recognizing that. He can be the best player on that team, but he doesn't have to do it all himself. He can lean on James Cook. He can lean on Khalil Shakir. He can actually lean on, of course, when I don't play Amari Cooper in fantasy, he catches a 31-yard touchdown. Got Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. They've got a bunch of weapons there, even without Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. They've got players that they can lean on. Defense is playing much better. Obviously shut out Aaron Rodgers in that game. I know that's not saying much at 41 years old, but he had the 500 touchdowns on the line. He's at 499. Didn't get it in that game on Sunday. And then number 1, I hate to put them at number 1. I'm as tired of them as anybody, but until somebody knocks them off, they've got 15 wins. And I don't care how many times they win close games and, one-score games and all this stuff. They got the most incredible luck in the world. But until somebody knocks them off and proves me otherwise, the Kansas City Chiefs are my number one. And they've actually been playing a better brand of football here lately. Again, I know they kind of survived a couple of games early in the season, but they're starting to really find a rhythm on offense. It's weird to say with Patrick Mahomes at the helm, but Xavier Worthy's starting to play well. You've got D-Hop there. He's not quite obviously what he once was, but he's still a threat. You've got Juju. You've got Hollywood Brown back and healthy. Pacheco's there. You've got Kareem Hunt playing a role. And that defense with Chris Jones, leading the way is nasty. And Spagnuolo is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. So there's my 5-1. Ravens at 5, Eagles at 4, Lions at 3, Bills at 2, Chiefs at 1.
Miggy, you're up.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of shots my way, so I'm gonna just go ahead and just a couple disclaimers, and I'll be quick, y'all. I gotta understand. Number one, the Buffalo Bills aren't even in my top 5 for what we're talking about because they don't even have an MVP winning quarterback. That MVP does not belong to Josh Allen. The MVP is literally Lamar Jackson's or Saquon Barkley if he decides to be selfish next week. So Josh Allen, it's great. It's awesome. We have fatigue over Lamar Jackson being the MVP of the league. It's like Joel Embiid winning MVP over Jokic. Y'all know what time it is. It's like a damn MVP. It's not like a true, genuine MVP. So with that being said, my 5th team, I'm sorry. I know they have 15 wins. They could easily have 8. Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to get knocked out in the first round if they meet somebody. I'm telling you, if they meet somebody, yes, they're playing a better brand of football, but also Pittsburgh stinks. It was just not good. Bad day at the office. Put the Chiefs at 5. My 4th team, the Minnesota Vikings, with the best wide receiver duo in the National Football League, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson. They're going to make some noise. Number 3, a team that they're going to lose to, actually, is the Detroit Lions. And then from there to the Philadelphia Eagles. I just think they're a complete team. And then last but not least, my Super Bowl pick, the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
Damn.
God.
All in on Lamar.
Not surprising.
He loves Lamar.
He does love Lamar.
I do not. Lamar Jackson, man. They said he was a running back.
Boy can sling it. Boy can sling it. GT.
Man, I thought about it. So I don't know if I'm gonna piggyback on Kansas City Chiefs, man, losing the first round if they beat somebody, man. I think they are that somebody. They're the team everyone's still trying to beat. I think Kansas City, Pat Mahomes is still their Super Bowl to lose. I don't think they're getting older, but they said that last year, right? Okay, we said that the year before. They're just getting older, but hey, age and life, fine wine. They're 15-1 this year. You got to give it to the team. So give me Kansas City at 1. I do love Ravens at number 2. Love to see the power back of Derrick Henry finally getting to be on a team that has a chance at actually doing something. So yeah, doing it from my boy D. Henry, man. I really am. So I like that. Detroit Lions number 3. Dan Campbell. Listen, he's going to come back with a vengeance. Had a heck of a season after last year. Going very far in the playoffs, so he's coming back with a vengeance. Wants to get that taste back in his mouth that Detroit just loved to feel. Pause. Now, of course, Philadelphia Eagles. Saquon Barkley, he's the 9th running back. He rushed over 2,000 yards in NFL's history. He just he ran in 167 last week to complete that task. So Philadelphia, I mean, really the best team in the NFC East. Washington, as much as I want to put them on my top 5, can't do it. I really can't. They just don't belong there, though I would love to see it. So, therefore, I'm going to go with the Bills. Give me the Bills. I do think they have a strong case. In the playoffs, they always do. I think that the AFC just in general has the best teams across the board. So, I think you're just kind of throwing darts towards the end there. But as it stands, heading into really about to be the playoffs, so that's my top 5.
Dang. I like it. Joseph.
Damn. Well, I was kind of flip-flopping a little bit on my number 1 spot, and I was going back and forth between like the Lions being number 1 for me, and then because I think they've been the best team in football like consistently all season. And then like G said, they've kind of decimated with injuries, and it just seems like that luck's not going to turn around for them. So I'm hoping, not wishing anything, because I'm all in on the Lions, but it doesn't seem like the injury luck is in their favor this year. And then I thought to myself, okay, well, it's the Chiefs because the Chiefs are still the Chiefs, just like Pat and them say on their show all the time. The Chiefs is the Chiefs, and until someone beats them, it's kind of hard not to. But I got to thinking about it more, and I was like, the more that something happens, the more likely it is that it's not going to happen. And eventually, I think your luck is going to run out. Kind of like it did when TCU won all those one-score games, made their way to the national championship, and then got beat. I think the Chiefs will find a way to lose one of these one-score games eventually. So I was like, okay, I can't really put them number one. Then I thought to myself, well, what do those two teams have in common? Oh, they both lost to the Buffalo Bills and the MVP of the league, baby, Josh Allen. Give me my number one seed.
Talk to him, Jay.
Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, man. Josh is having a banner year. This is the bet. Like, this man's having a 2024. Can we just hats off to Josh Allen? Congratulations, brother. But the Bills look great, man. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Lions. I'm putting them at my number one seed. And then obviously that leads into my 2 and 3, which I'm going to put at the Lions and the Chiefs. Put the Lions behind them because they've just been having injury luck, has not been going their way, and this team's just kind of beat up. But they've really bought into the whole like one pride thing, one team, and they're just finding ways to win. Huge Ben Johnson fans, so I'm gonna slot the Lions at number 2. Number 3 is the Chiefs because you win back to back and you got Patrick Mahomes. It's kind of hard to put you outside of the top 5 Super Bowl contenders when you got Andy Reid calling plays and Patrick Mahomes is taking snaps. So. Number 4, I went with the Vikings because I just think Sam Darnold's hot this year, man. And sometimes, you come from a place where you've looked rough and you get a fresh start and it's like, hey, maybe this is what Sam could have been had he found the right situation from the day he was drafted. Like if Kevin O'Connell had started with Sam Darnold, could Sam Darnold have been what he is this year for the past however many years he's been in the league? So I went with the Vikings there. And then obviously, like Miggy said, Jettis and Jordan Addison are just absolutely incredible. So I went with the Vikings as my 4 seed. And the 5th seed, I went with the Eagles because, they're super talented and the roster's loaded, but they had all that same talent last year and found a way to lose to the Bucs in the playoffs. So I don't exactly have a whole lot of confidence in that going in, that they're going to be able to rip off all these wins against these great teams.
They didn't
so
have
I went with
Saquon
the
Barkley
Eagles
last year.
They didn't. That's fair. They didn't. But I'm a little worried about the Eagles just having some explicable loss in the playoffs.
It does feel like that.
5. Yep.
For sure.
It does feel like that.
RCG.
I am like UG. I think I want to put the Vikings in there because that little video of the whole team lifting up Sam Darnold, doing the whole thing, and just Kevin O'Connell standing in the background, it just felt magic moment. This is what we're going to do.
Hated it.
I know, dude. I know you hated it. I'm sorry. But it's damn good, dude. But the reason GT Degum, you took our F word. All right, I'm doing it. I put the Vikings in. And it's them or the Eagles actually, because I'm kind of with you. I get Saquon's there, but when you're the 3rd worst passing offense in the entire league, it doesn't feel great to watch the Eagles sometimes. If Saquon gets stuffed against not stuffed, but slowed down against a good defense in the playoffs, then I don't know, man. And I know they've made it work all throughout the year. I get that. But there's just something about the one-dimensional. I don't know if I love Jalen Hurts anymore. Kind of on that train. But Vikings, it's fun. It's fun. Justin Jefferson's incredible. I think I believe in KOC so much now. I'm like, he might be just the best coach in all of football. Just with what talent that he has, because I thought this was going to be the worst team in the league before the season, and then I saw him play week 1, and I was like, yeah, they're good. They're really good. So I'm going to put the Vikings at my 5. Don't love it. Don't hate it, but my number 5. Sorry, Ravens are number 4. They are the most prove it to me team in the playoffs. I love Lamar. He is probably playing the best football of his career. He's going to get ousted because, like you said, we have voter fatigue. That sucks. Really
Yeah.
sucks.
And he beat him by 25 points in week, man.
I know.
Nothing
dude.
wrong.
I know. He might finish like 4th in the MVP. That's what's crazy.
So stupid.
If Joe Burrow makes the playoffs, that Joe Burrow is going to get in over him.
Yeah.
That sucks, dude. That sucks.
Joe Shiesty.
Joe Shiesty, but God, that boy's playing some good football.
He sure is.
He's playing some good football, boys. So I'm not going to pick the Bengals at number 4. I'm going to pick the Ravens. They are playing some pretty good football. There's good and bad about their defense that still scares me. They lost so much talent. They've played some good football, but they've also had some misses. They can get scored on. So it's just hard. It's one of those things we've seen it with the Chiefs getting by the Ravens. It's just I can't buy in. Fully as them being my number 3, which is going to be nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Attaboy. Talk to him.
Again, they've looked really good. They've looked so good. Josh Allen is the man. He has got a newfound beautiful fiance, and he is playing unbelievable football. He eliminated me from my 2 playoffs in fantasy football. So this might be like recency hatred, but I'm putting him at number 3. There's something about that defense also that's like, can you get me a stop? Can you get me a stop right now? I don't love that. I think Josh can do a lot. Amari Cooper was a great addition. I don't know. He might be the lowest end of the number 1 wide receivers, but that guy's still great. Shakir's really stepped up. You got like 14 white tight ends that are pretty good, so that's always nice to have.
For sure.
It is, dude. Spoken from Buffalo, but number 2, Detroit Lions. I know they've got some injuries, but I think tonight they're resting who needs to be rested. They're playing everybody, I think, but you can tell there's not a whole lot of juice being had in San Francisco. Detroit, so complete. Gibbs has been unbelievable, even when Montgomery went out. There's just something about this Detroit team that's just special. Goff, say what you will, but the guy has been so good this year. So good. And just whatever football guy magic belief that you have, that coaching staff has them ready to roll. Dan Campbell has made guys believe, and they've bought in, and they've finally got their roster that just makes you feel like this is what it's all worth. And they're going to do it. They're going to freaking do it. And they're going to wind up going to the Super Bowl and playing the number 1 team on this list. And I know, watching them play, you're like, no way they're the best team in football, but by God, they've only lost 1 game. Why would you bet against the Kansas City Chiefs? They're still 5th in total defense. They got rid of their best corner, and they gave him to the Titans, which sucks. And he was terrible for us, but they just got better. Chris Jones, all those guys are just so good up front. They get stops. They just score enough. They get everybody's A game. Patrick can play bad, and they can still win. They get Pacheco back. We give them D-Hop. Again, the Titans just helping out all the Chiefs fandom. I just can't bet against them, and that's the only reason why. It's just Andy Reid. It's just I did it last year. I was like, no way. Chiefs are terrible. Chiefs are so underwhelming. And I'm not doing that again. Kansas City Chiefs. Still their Super Bowl to lose. You're right, GT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't have the weapons like they have this year. They look and feel better this year.
It is very different, especially getting D-Hop. You're like, dadgummit.
Hollywood Brown, I know he's not great, but you put him in that offense as a piece, just like Juju.
Yeah, Juju gets you a touchdown every 2 or 3 games.
Once a blue moon, yeah.
I don't know. They just feel different. And Mickey, I know you said it. Pittsburgh kind of stinks right now. They're the most deceiving record in football because they have looked pretty rough the last couple weeks.
Yeah, once Mike Tomlin hits over a winning record, his job's done.
Is Russ cooking?
Yeah, he's cooking down there at the Burger King. You can get 2 for $5.
2 for 5, baby.
2 for $5, man. 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles, whatever you need, he got you.
5 fantasy points. Perfect.
Got 5 on it.
But make it a biggie. Make it a biggie.
Oh, yeah.
I love me. Dang, boys, 2 hours, 3-minute podcast. We did
Flies by.
it. It does.
Yes.
Love it.
It's good to have everybody back. It's great to see everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Right before 2024 is done. I know we can't be all in the same state, but man, it's good to see all's faces.
It is. When you coming back, G?
I've been kind of up in the air about it. I'm thinking Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
Thursday or Friday. Give myself a couple of days. We got baseball practice starting up on Sunday for the boys, and then softball hot and heavy on Monday. It's go time.
I would like to say that on my Facebook stories today was popped up the last ESPN Chattanooga show at the Word with G was tonight. Was last year.
Yeah, it's been a year.
It's been one full year. The graphics look different, bro. There's more mics in the kitchen. Shit's popping. It looks good.
We're cooking. Yeah, it is crazy to think where we've kind of come from in a year ago.
Yeah.
Today. A lot of us are in a lot of different spots.
Yeah.
A lot of different spots. Yeah.
A lot of babies for these group. A lot of new jobs for this group.
Yeah.
A lot of same old jobs for this group.
And a new friend.
And Joseph.
Yeah.
We picked one up.
20% owner of Chatted Up Sports.
That's right, baby.
Hold on.
That's right. 3 claps one time.
Love it.
I'd say it's pretty close to synced up. Virtually, it's pretty good.
That's about as good. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we can't always hit those virtually. It's tough.
Yeah.
Dude. It's tough. Anybody got any good New Year's plans? Y'all do anything? Okay.
Here.
Because I was like, I'm starting to feel guilty because our family's kind of like cutting plans already, and I was like, sick. Definitely not making it to New Year's.
Yeah.
Not making it to midnight. No chance.
No.
Dad life.
Dad life, baby.
Yeah.
You make it close with the game. Well,
That's true. That's true.
game, maybe that game might
Depends
be
how the
over
game
that.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Let's
Oh, no. Wait. Yeah, that's
it's Penn State Boise.
Don't think so.
Might be a
Maybe
quarter.
I
Snoozy.
hope Tampa Bay finds some way to lose next weekend.
It doesn't matter, man. Let's just get ready for the future. This is the last time y'all gonna see me in this jersey because we're gonna get new ones. Just Michael Penix, me. Let's go get. I want you literally
Let's get
the
it.
NFL draft. Draft 7 defensive ends.
Yeah.
7.
They've been
How do
playing
we-
better on defense. They've been actually getting after the passer a little bit.
We need it all. We need it all.
What do you want the most?
A defensive end, man.
Okay.
Linebacker.
You need a lot of things.
So it's New Year's resolution, new defense for the Atlanta Falcons.
What's up? What's
Yeah,
up?
that's
There's
cool.
It's a pretty good edge rusher coming out this year.
So
There's some all right ones coming from the state of Georgia.
Yeah, there's a
I
couple
know
few,
one in Knoxville needs to come on
couple
down.
few edge rushers that are pretty good coming out this year.
You do not want that one from Knoxville. He ain't gonna show up.
Yeah, he was kind of a ghost all year, bro.
At least he didn't hit the transfer portal.
Man, because nobody wanted him. We got
That's
me.
not.
I'm just kidding.
Max
I'm
Chadwick came on here, was like, this dude
I'd say
could be
you-
potentially the number 1 pick.
I'm
And
frustrated.
This feels like emotional lashing.
This is exactly
Emotional
what it is.
lash.
I will not lie about that. It's emotional lashing to its finest. I'm frustrated. I've never been so footballed out. Like the next day, I had to go watch the Titans just get demoralized, and I was like, "This sucks. Football sucks."
oh
I was
god.
like, "Move me on to basketball. This blows. I don't even want to deal with draft. We're gonna draft somebody terrible, probably. We'll have a huge bust. We won't even get Shador. We'll get some
Draft
fresh,
Quinn
you know.
Ewers.
I'm gonna draft Carson
Oh
back.
no.
leave him on the sidelines of Georgia.
Nah,
I really want to switch over, but I don't know if I'm ready to go to the Falcons yet either.
we suck. There's no point. But we have the future.
Hey, the Commanders or the Packers are pretty fun right now.
Commanders, baby. Don't be afraid, man.
Terry
always-
McLaurin had that seatbelt on last night.
I didn't want to bring it up, man, but Ed was talking mad trash because he knew Malcolm's team was the Falcons. He's like, "You let Miggy know, go Redskins."
Papa Ed, we love you, man.
So,
Jaden Davis can run the football a bit too, can he?
yeah,
He sure can. That last once they got the football in overtime, we knew it was over.
Yeah. Tails never fails, and we pay Tads. We're idiots.
That's tough.
Who's out there calling it for you?
Grady Jarrett, Conyers Georgia legend, man.
Grady. Wow, you got to
Conyers,
do better
Georgia.
than
that's a
that.
hometown guy.
Yeah, huge hometown guy.
Well,
Guys from counties don't make good decisions, man.
well, boys, I wish y'all a very happy New Year, and I love and miss you all. Very excited to jump into 2025 together. We got lots to build on, so it'll be good.
We got a lot, boys. We got a lot.
Yes, we do.
Happy New Year, guys.
Shout out to Mike's one more time too. We love Mike's. We'll be there on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
8 o'clock show.
You thinking about trying to journey down for that, G?
I'm thinking about it. If I'm coming like on Thursday, if I leave on Thursday, I'll leave early enough to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is everybody in?
We know Garrett's not gonna be there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm usually on it's tough for me to get down there. It's tougher to this is doable. That's tough for me to get down there.
I got that.
Maybe in like 6 months, when the baby's like a little more settled, but we'll see.
That. All right. We appreciate you, boys. Per usual, fans, like and subscribe, all the podcast things we need from you to help us out. Again, thank you to intern Grant for helping behind the scenes tonight. Big 3 claps one time. Thanks again, man. Appreciate you. He's got the news and notes and all the things. So much love. We'll see you guys Thursday. We out.
Peace.
Peace.